quizzes that were done throughout the year. Best place for chip walk, best place for families, pediatric oncology treasure chest. We're the largest donator in the country for the tour guide. We have a massive St. Albans Foundation every year, and race across America over something of our RTC. Regionally central student leaders, and the aspect of most variety of events and presentations designed physical, mental, and community health. Campaigns such as Suicide Awareness Week, Say Something Week, Make a Difference Week, and Mental Health Week were delivered during the advisory periods. Preparing for the future, Central has spent time with a lot of preparation for the class of 2022. Let's let that sink in a little bit, 2022. They made trips to middle schools to talk about transitioning. The groups have gone above and beyond to talk with middle school students about the importance of leadership and being role models for fellow classmates. There we go. Sorry. Lincoln Ladies, new clubs, Black Student Union, Board Game Club, Dungeons and Dragons, Star Tutor, We Dine Together Club, and the Korean Pop Culture Club. Big push at Lincoln Ladies this year, Be the Change, spearheaded a rock painting project for the entire school. The project was called Colors of the Courtyard. What is the point of this? The purpose was simple. It was Be the Change mission to make someone's day in the form of a hand-painted rock by giving a friendly or inspirational message while walking from class to class. At Lincoln West, the Warrior Way program organized a Warrior Kindness Challenge for the month of February. Along with individual acts of kindness, students were encouraged to participate in Environmental Action Club's Textile Drive, the National Honor Society Dress Drive, the Key Club Book Drive, and the Treasure Chest Toy Drive that were also organized in February. Taking the lead together is Lincoln Way West, a group of seniors that were selected to work with groups of the 8th graders from Manhattan and Liberty Junior Highs who were chosen to be leaders in their peer group. They received training and participation and will help those 8th graders with transition towards high school. It was a very successful year on the activities and asset front at Lincoln Way. Our 3 activity directors did a fantastic job. Once again, once we finish our calculating, we'll be around 80% participation in each school. Once we finish next week, we'll have those numbers for you.
This is remarkable. I love this, handing it to you at that last meeting in May each year, because that's a summary of the year beyond the classroom, all the neat things that are going on. And so I think it's fantastic. Before I turn it over to Dr. Fury and the reading crew, I wanted to address some of the questions that have come up this week about U.S. News and Newsweek and what's happened to us. So I want to remind everybody that it was not long ago, it was 2016, where we had the banners in every building, America's Top High School, in U.S. News and in Newsweek, and all 3 of our schools were on the national lists, and we were the top 5 in the South Suburbs, and so it was a pretty remarkable time. 15-16 was also the last year that we had 4 high schools, and so there was a lot going on, and the kids held it together beautifully. The U.S. News and Newsweek are always 2 years behind. So what they're looking at when they rate are 2015-16 results. And so I want to go through and show you that even though we didn't make those lists, you will make it every year in the future now for a long time because of the way things were organized and structured. So this is a question I've gotten a dozen times this week. So what happened? Did you fall off the table? Not even close. So what happened was PARC happened. And so the PARC testing came in. The state decided that was what they were going to use to do your meet and exceed numbers. And I will take every bit of the hit on this one. We got to decide, do you test freshmen, sophomores, or juniors? Do you test them online or on paper? And not only that, do you test algebra, geometry, a mix of things? We chose to keep these tests, the PARC tests, as far away from our juniors as possible. It's a conscious decision because this would have been 10 to 15 hours in the month of March. That is right in the middle of a junior's testing season. So we said, let's test our freshmen, not knowing at all that that's how the state was going to rank for those 2 years. And so when we came down to it, here's the criteria that was in the papers. Step 1 in all these, it'll be the same for Newsweek. Students exceeded expectations in their states. Now, we were fine in ELA because we tested every freshman. It was great. Our math scores were low. We tested 70% of our math freshmen, because at that time, 30% were in geometry, and you only got to test by class, not by freshmen. So 30% of our best math kids did not test. And so to use that 2 years in a row as an eliminator was painful for us, but that's what happened. Again, going back at it, I would make that same decision again, leave it as far away from our juniors as possible. So I think the handout pretty quickly goes through it. Step one, we were eliminated because of Algebra 1. 320 strong freshmen were in geometry. About 20% of our kids didn't count that would have passed. So those 25 to 40% would have easily been 45 to 60 some percent. And if you get over 40%, you're in on these tests. So it's pretty simple. Step two, just to show you where it's going in the future, we went back and looked at what they call the underserved students. And we have no problems there. Our African American, our Hispanic, our low income kids do well better than the state average. So once we get past step one, we roll. And then step three is graduation rate. And bottom line, our 98% is the top graduation rate in the school of large high school districts. So what's going to happen in the next year or so, you're going to go from not being on the list to being in all three schools in the top 20 to 30. And maybe Lincoln Way East if they stay where they're at in the top 10. I mean, that's where the rest of our numbers are. So I love that last little line there. U.S. News will likely increase the threshold graduation rate needed to pass step three. They're going to have to increase it a heck of a lot to get to 98%. So bring that one on. And then the last one, where they separate the silver from the gold level, is your AP numbers. How many kids are taking AP tests, and we blow that out of the water. So bottom line, we didn't get past step one on a test that we didn't really like very much. So here's the numbers, and then I want to give you just some really encouraging data as we wrap up. This was our first year of Park. We were a little bit above the state average, 37 to 35 in ELA, because we tested that our lowest group of math and our average kids, 14% was below the state average. Bam, we were done. I wanted to show you that we didn't stop there. The next year, Illinois stayed even on the Park test, and our kids in ELA went up almost 15%. In math, our kids went up 21%. So it still wasn't enough because of our population and our low free and reduced numbers. But we went after that hard, and then we went all out for SAT. This is where we are now. Under the Park system in the orange, this is Lincoln Way East, 42% met state standards. The next year under the SAT, it's 62%. 62% would put us in the top 10 of the state this year. These are the numbers you're going to use next year. All that they're going to use these numbers. So that 62% is in the bank. It doesn't matter what this year's kids do. That was last year's. That's what they're going to grade on. The district was very high, 58%. That would put us in all schools in the top 20 or so. And you can see the state didn't move like that. The state Park was about the same as the state SAT. So very encouraging numbers. We're totally back in the game and well above state average. So I'm looking forward to it. The other handout, and again, a lot of numbers, especially for me, but I want to show you real quickly. When we're talking about a year from now, when the U.S. News comes out, these are the numbers they look at. So we are 67% college ready. 67% college ready is what the number 11 and 12 schools ranked in the state were, those gold level schools. That's where we are. 95% freshmen on track, 87% college enrollment. Aaron and Ron, really everybody, 1,838 kids, 27% of our kids are in career and tech, and that's going to grow next year. So that's a number that they're starting to look at. Class of 2017, student councilman, they mentioned it. That was the year when these kids were juniors and took their ACT, blew that out of the water. It was the best year that we've ever had, overall ACT. Last year's spring SAT that they're going to take a look at 2 years from now, 58% district-wide, ELA and math are high. And then I think the one thing I want to leave you with, if I were to say one thing we've got to stay on top of in the future, is what we do with subgroups. So the IEP are your special needs kids. They've got the individualized education plan. 19% of Lincoln Way kids meet state standards, 10% are across Illinois. But you're asking special needs kids to take an SAT. So 20%'s not bad, not something to jump up and down about, but we'd love to see that number push up. FRO is your low income, your free and reduced lunch kids. And so 38% of our kids, double what the state average is, that's okay. But that's not something we want to sit on and say that's okay. We want our kids to come up. The other thing that's showing up on all these rankings, and including the states, are achievement gaps, the difference between your non-low income and your low income kids. And so, again, we've got some gap to fill here, but we're 20% where the state is 30. African American kids, we have a 17% gap, the state is 33. Hispanic to non-Hispanic is closer because that's our growing ELL population. Those are kids that speak predominantly Spanish. They're not taking an SAT in Spanish, at least not yet. And so we've got some things to work on. Those aren't bad numbers, but we can do better than that. That's a great place for us to go. And then just probably the most encouraging thing, early college coursework, huge in all these rankings. 33% of our 10th graders have already passed a college class through AP, 19% across the state, 56% of our 11th graders, 63% of our 12th graders. So the school is 51% of our kids are walking out with college credit in hand, and that's an exciting number. So some quick takeaways. SAT or ACT is positive for us. We've done well at both. That's what the future is going to be. I would encourage you, I know Brian and Amy are all over this, the promise is to focus on assessments that matter. If the state comes up with some alternative to Park 3 years from now, if the colleges don't want it, we don't care. We do what's right for our families. 20% higher than the state average in all these things is our goal. That's where we've been for years. We need to remain aware and focused on the subgroups and continue providing opportunities to balance out our higher end kids, AP, and our college and career bound kids. And so we're right there. So last piece is I introduce Amy. This is a good way to wrap things up. Kevin Conway, Kevin Conway works in the library over East. He put together a video to promote reading, West, to promote reading at West this year and across the district. Secretary of State Jesse White got a hold of it, tweeted it out, and then he had to take it down because of copyright kind of thing. So we're going to show you this as an intro, especially the last 5 seconds, just fantastic. So.
In Read for a Lifetime because I enjoy reading, and decided that this would be a good thing for our transcripts. Librarians talked to us about it, and teachers talked to us about it, and they said that if you do it all 4 years throughout high school and you read only 4 books off of a list of many books, which is not that many, you could get it on your college transcript and be recognized by the board.
All right, so before we begin our student recognition of the board, thanks first to Kevin for allowing us to share the beginning of this. That's just the beginning. There's another 4.5 more minutes of really great stuff recruiting kids to be part of this program tonight. First, I'd like to take a moment to recognize and introduce the heart of reading and literacy at Lincoln Way. Our librarians from Lincoln Way Central is Aileen Cochet. From East is Jennifer Seaman. And from West is Jennifer Broman Bender. These three ladies are the core of our reading success at Lincoln Way, and each year they have a huge impact on the reading culture and success of our district. So just to give you a quick snapshot of what goes on in our libraries district-wide. Each library has nearly 20,000 visits by students who choose to leave their advisory and go into the library to look at books, research, whatever they need to do in the library. Over 8,000 books are checked out every year and in circulation. The librarians give nearly 100 class presentations and book talks each year. Hundreds, even thousands of tests are administered each year in their testing centers. And over 3,000 classes are brought to the library for research and reading every year. Some highlights specifically to Central. 63 students earned Read for a Lifetime recognition this year. 2 students actually read all 25 books all 4 years, and you'll get to meet them tonight. 22 students participated in the Abraham Lincoln Award voting, and they are now piloting a Breakout EDU, which is an academic escape room game requiring teamwork and critical thinking skills, something very new to a library. At West this year, 1,500, you heard about this earlier, visited 10 authors during the school year for their Fall Author Day and Spring Literature Fest. 56 students earned Read for a Lifetime recognition this year, and a lot of special events go down at West. A library podcast, the SAT Kahoot practice, open mics, morning music, and makerspace activities courtesy of Manhattan Public Library. At Lincoln Way East, ACT and SAT prepare advisory sessions took place in the month of March in preparation for those tests. Almost 1,800 and counting. Tests are administered in their testing center. 181 students and 16 staff members earned Read for a Lifetime recognition this year. 23 students and even 1 staff member read all 25 books this year. And 1 student from East read all 25 books for all 4 years. And again, you'll meet that student tonight. And if you are wondering where you can see all of this awesomeness go down, each one of them has a very vibrant and energetic Instagram page that you're all welcome to be followers on. And so, what exactly is Read for a Lifetime? Read for a Lifetime is a statewide high school reading program brought about by the Secretary of State and State Librarian Jesse White. Each year, Illinois high schools receive a list of 25 book titles. If students read, at least if they sign up and read at least 4 of the titles from the list, then they receive the Certificate of Achievement by Jesse White. So, since we're really into numbers tonight, you've got to see this. Just comparing what Illinois and Lincoln Way does, what Lincoln Way students do as compared to Illinois. So, 596 students in the state of Illinois completed at least 4 of the books like we talked about. 203 of those students were from Lincoln Way. In terms of staff, they had 11 statewide complete the program, and at Lincoln Way, 11 of those staff members were from Lincoln Way. Senior 4-year awards, these are the students who participated in the program for all 4 years. Statewide, there were 26. At Lincoln Way, 12 of those were our participants. And then altogether, staff and students who read all 25 listed books, that's the highest achievement, 35 in the state of Illinois, and 17 of those were from Lincoln Way. So the total number of books read by all students and staff in the state of Illinois, and then 1,363 of those were from Lincoln Way. So as you can see, Lincoln Way pretty much dominates this program for the state of Illinois. And something we're proud of, and in fact the local newspapers even picked up on it this year. So we're really proud to see some serious recognition for all of these kids' achievements. So without further ado, I would be very honored if the librarians would come and join me. And we would like to honor tonight, and they have their certificates. So the students will come up and shake these hands of our librarians. These are the Read for a Lifetime 4-year participants. So these are the students who chose to participate in this program for all 4 years. And tonight we have with us Emily Bonebrake. We have Jennifer Goich. We have Mason Craig. We have Varia Kazi. Haley Paraday. And then we have 3 other students that we like to call our 100 Titles Club members. These are the students who actually took on the challenge, read all 25 books for all 4 years. And that is Alyssa Arce, and Madison Dockweiler. Congratulations to these students. I know Karen wants to take a quick photo.